Alright, welcome back to another video. This is probably going to have two different revivals in it, maybe three, but probably at least two. One of them is already sitting behind me, completed. It's a giant leaf blower, but you'll see that in the second half of this video. First half is going to be on this generator here. So let me get it off this pallet so we can look at it a little better. Alright, so this is a, whatever that is, with a Briggs and Stratton engine. That's the bigger reason I bought it, because I didn't want to get one of these with an overhead valve. I don't know anything about generators besides the fact that this is a 5,500 watt. Yeah, I know plenty about engines, but nothing about generators. Off the bat, the low oil shutdown is disconnected. That's pretty common on generators to see the oil shutdowns. The fact that it's unconnected is a concern. They have oil. There appears to be some in there. Needs a little bit more. Do it spin and have compression. Spins. I don't want to say no, but I also don't want to say yes on the compression. That's interesting. The carb and air cleaner and air box and all that stuff is off. It's in a bag up here. It was left in the on position. It's never a good sign. It means someone didn't get it started last time they had it. Fuel lines are cut, not surprising. So yeah, get this bag open here. This was zip tied to the side of it. Come on. Inner box. The big spacer plate. Or no, gasket. That's a big gasket. It's pretty common. Pretty common on these gaskets. An air filter, the design that I hate, but it is an air filter. A lot of rust in there. A carburator. What brand? Ooh. See what we got. Yes, Walbro. Thank the Lord. Okay, good. A little bit bent right there, but I'm sure we can fix that. But yeah, you want the Walbro carbs. You don't want that Nicky garbage. Walbro or Mikuni. Float. Doesn't look particularly damaged. And then bowl. And whatever those washers are, bolts in there. Well, that's seen better days. Ooh, that's definitely seen some better days. Is that actually rusted through in the bottom? I think it is. Oh boy. Let's clean that out quick. Alright, here's the cleaned up bowl. Wire brush fit in there perfectly again. It's pretty bad. This pitting is really severe, and it's still not even as clean as I want it. And it's paper thin down there, so I'll see if I can find another bowl. But the rest of the carburetor I should be able to save. That shouldn't be a big deal. But, uh-oh, there goes float. No, we're missing a jet in there. Maybe that's in the bag somewhere. I'll have to look. Yeah. Goodbye. Real repeat of the second half of this video here. Or no, beginning. That's weird. Because I've already done the second half of this video, but I'm going to be uploading this half first. Also, gosh dang, they got a long enough plug wire on this thing. Also forgot to show this, but it believes to... I think it's a 99 generator, if I can remember how to read those right. 99 engine, generator could be 2000. Alright, so I just hit the thing with one of those brushes and got it significantly better than it was. It still doesn't look that clean, but a little bit of a rinse off with brake clean will make it look a lot better. Got the choke to move. It's still a little stiff, but I'm still working on that. See, I'm going to put this in the chemical dip after a brake clean soak down, and then I'll pull it back out and see if I even have all the parts to put it back together in the bag. I don't even know. Alright, well, change of plans. So this thing, it's not looking too good as far as parts. I look up carb kits for this carb under that number, and literally all I get is rebuild kits for like this junk Nicky carb. This is a clone, but it's still the same as a Nicky carb. Yeah, all I get is results for this style of garbage Nicky carb. I mean, these aren't worth a crap. They don't show anything for Walbro carbs despite saying they're a rebuild kit for this Walbro carb, but they're not. I have one of those rebuild kits for the Nicky carb, and I can tell you one thing, it does not fit this Walbro. Okay, so here's the carburetor, reassembled. I've got jets in this thing, mainly the center one and that one in there from really random carburetors. I do not know if this is going to work. I have no idea. But, I mean, I'm at least trying to save it. Some people would replace a carb that simply has a stuck float, but here I am, saving a carb that was missing parts, bent throttle shaft, full of rust, and all the other stuff. So, yeah. I mean, there's a chance it will run the engine. It's just a question, is it ever going to run smooth? But, of course, it is a good flathead. And I put an adjustment screw on the bottom, replacing the original bowl nut. So, yeah, we'll see if it's really, really rich. If I had to guess, if it's going to run bad, I imagine it's going to run really rich. That's my guess. All right, carb's installed. The governor arm that was on this thing seems to be correct, and it works fine. I've not got fuel to the carb. I'm just going to start off starting fluid to make sure the governor does, in fact, work, and there's nothing crazy gonna happen. If it, starts and runs okay off the starting fluid, I'll hook a light into it and see if it'll make power. So, yeah, let me get the door open. Also, I topped off the wheel because it was a little low. Nice. Also, the on-off fell out. Uh-oh. Alright. It makes power. Okay. I don't know. Somebody tell me, are these meant to come out like this, like a key? I mean, looking at it, it kind of makes sense. I've only ever seen one other switch like this, and it was on another generator that I got running a long, long time ago. But that switch didn't work. I never looked at it too much. I've been reading this decal for whatever reason, and I just realized that there's all this stuff on here. I think someone's been welding near this, and it's, gotten in the tank and, burned it up in some areas. It should still be fine, but what moron was welding next to a generator? Or were they using the generator to power a welder? I'm not sure. Yeah, there's all this, I can't remember what you call it, but after welding you get all this stuff everywhere. And of course sometimes it flies off and hits other objects. But a gas tank, that's not ideal. So if you look right there, you'll notice there's a bolt missing. That's questionable. Alright, I'm finally back after 2 weeks. I have manually primed the carburetor bowl and electric fuel pump, and then I moved all that garbage out of the way because it was a gasoline-soaked mess. But anyway, if that carb is going to run at all, this should tell us. So here we go. I don't know though. Just don't fall out this time. I may need to shut this off. But here we go. Well, it tried to run off the carb. Oh, come on. You just run off the carb already? Okay, alright, it tried to run. Yes, I bought an aftermarket carb. I hate doing it, but the other carburetor bowl was literally rotten through, and the rest of the carb wasn't any better. But yeah, otherwise that test went pretty good. the only bad thing is the kill switch didn't work, so I had to cut the fuel off and just wait for it to run out. So I'll take that cover off and put a new kill switch in, and then this thing should be ready to sell. It's the next day here. I probably didn't make many things clear in the clip from last night. But yeah, new carb. I hate doing it, but it worked because the other one was just shot. That's when I took parts out of. Yeah, that ran pretty good. I'm trying to figure out why the thing doesn't shut down. I hooked the oil sensor back up. That didn't hurt anything. It still has spark even when it shouldn't. I turned that to off and it will still have spark. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it sparked there. So yeah, I'm just gonna tear this shroud off of here and put a regular kill switch in. I've had to replace one of those before. I don't know why they just don't work apparently. Also, another thing I still forgot to mention is the fuel pump. I took that apart, cleaned it because it had a dirt dauber nest in the inlet or the outlet or something when I first got this thing. I took it apart and cleaned everything inside, oiled all the gaskets and diaphragms in there, and now it works. It's just hooked to this fuel tank right here, right now. I haven't hooked it up to the right one yet. I still need to do that, but that's why that is the way that is. And it's just nice the pump works now. That made that a lot easier. Have to use a jump starter and an electric fuel pump. Well, it might have helped if it was hooked up. It wasn't. The lights don't flicker in real life. Alright, that's not bad. I hooked an angle grinder up to this thing while that light was running too, and it still didn't even notice it was there. I don't know if 5,500 watts for one of these is impressive or what, but anyway, it definitely works. I'll order a new air filter, put the air filter box back on, clean that up too. I'll run a gas line up to this tank, but I need a grommet because I don't have a grommet built into that you put in the tank with a cutoff valve in it. So I'm gonna order one of those. I'll put that on. But yeah, it works. I ran it for probably a good 5 minutes there at least. Do an oil change and power wash it. So you're gonna have to take my word for it, but yeah, this thing is now done, and this is the last thing I needed to complete before I can edit and upload this video. So yeah, oh, also get a bolt for that corner right here. Rival 1, 2 out of this video, I don't remember. This has been going on over the course of 3 months now, I think. There's a tiny bit of glitter on there, but nothing crazy. Ooh. There's definitely a little bit of glitter in there, but that's why we're changing it. Alright, I managed to get it mostly done besides power washed. Oil change is complete. I think I've already said that though. Put a new fuel line in, got the tank cleaned out, got a new grommet up there, replaced the broken gas cap. Got this back assembled. Everything works as it should. After doing the oil change, the oil sensor started giving me a fit. It wouldn't have it spark if the oil sensor was hooked up. So after having run it now, you know, after the oil change, I'll hook that back up and see if it has spark again after I power wash it. I'm also gonna put as much load on it as I can, within reason, of course, to see how it handles it. But that's not gonna be for a little while because like I've got to get this video done. Also, it's pretty annoying I only just found this pallet, like after, you know, everything I've done to this thing, but at least I can move it around now that it, you know, has fuel in it, I guess. I don't know. Also finally kind of pieced the store together probably. This probably went bad, so it went to some repair shop. They thought the coil was probably bad, so they probably replaced it. That would explain why the bolts holding this on were somewhat loose, and the plug wire is exceedingly long, because they put a random coil on or something, and the wire is too long. I can shorten that, I just don't know if I care enough. And of course, they probably didn't hook the switch back up, so that other switch may have still worked, but this one makes a little bit more sense. So, yeah, now, finally, on to the next revival. The most boring start ever, so let me go over here. This is a something giant leaf blower. I think it's a billy goat. With a Robin Subaru engine, 9 horsepower. This is mostly how I got it. I just aired up the tires. The front one was debeaten, but I was able to get it to take air again. The back ones, they hold air. I don't know if the front wheel, we'll find out. They're all tubeless, which is dumb for something like this, but the biggest concern with this is no air filter cap. The gas tank lid is missing, and the engine is locked up tight. And there's also no oil in it, slash, I think, yeah, no oil drain plug over here. So, I don't know if this engine's going to run or if it's going to need a repower. I've heard good things about these engines, but I've never messed with one. I'm pretty sure it's just a regular Honda clone, aside from the overhead cam. I just noticed. I don't like that, but we'll find out. It came from the same place that I pulled a bunch of other stuff out of, which you'll see in probably in this same video. I'll do a bunch of revivals and put them all in the same video, because otherwise they'd probably be pretty short. There's no way the pull cord used to run through here. That'd be dumb. I don't know what you call that right there. It's a little messed up, but it should still work fine. I might still find a new one, if I can. It needs some oil. It's pretty stiff. But otherwise, the cable does move it. Just not as far as it should. Yeah, this will be really nice to use, though, if I can get it to work. It's just locked up motor. And I'm going to fill the oil with cylinder. Fill the cylinder with oil. And then I'll be back to this in probably a week or two. Let that sit. I will show you a picture of the inside of the cylinder with the inspection camera real quick. So yeah, let me do that. Alright, here's the spark plug. It's not too bad. I've seen worse, but there's a little bit of flaky carbon on there. And it was loose in there. Like, just barely loose, but it was loose. Why is a Briggs plug in there? Weird. This is like a flathead plug. The threads are way too short. Hopefully I didn't damage the cylinder head. Where I put that in. Let me get the inspection camera fired up. Alright, so here's the cylinder. Ugh. We got pistons right at the top of the cylinder, so we can't see jack squat. It doesn't look terrible. I don't know what that line going across the center of the piston is. That's weird, but oh my gosh. Yeah, I just can't see anything because the piston's at the top of the cylinder. So I'm going to soak this. I'm going to soak the crap out of this with PB Blaster and a couple of other things and see if we can get it to spin eventually. Okay, it's the next day, so let's see if it's stuck. I haven't tried pulling it yet. No, okay. I'm going to get that, whatever you call that, off. And I'll see if I can get on the crank and spin it with that. This is an engine that I think could have electric start, so there's a chance that plow has teeth we can get onto if we need that. But if it gets to the point where I need that much leverage, I'm going to pull that valve cover and see if there's something going on with this overhead cam. Because, you know, I'm not a fan of overhead cams on small engines. It's completely unnecessary. I just realized this is off. So that's not a good sign. Alright, moment of truth. Yes! Yes! Okay. Woohoo! I wonder if it was something in that blower housing. I'm not sure. Let me pull the plug back out. Okay. That's good though. I thought this was about to get really, really hard. But yeah, I just needed to be able to spin it backwards. That's all I needed. Get that plug out of there. Give it. Thank you. Okay, let's spin this over a little bit. Okay, it's getting stuck again. Let's go back the other way. I ain't gonna lie, I really do hear a bunch of crap in here. Although, nothing honestly it looks like that's the problem. It's free. It's been real good now. What changed? How has it been so good now? We've done absolutely more than 2 revolutions now. Revolutions. Huh. Interesting. We're going to spin this with a drill here, if I can get it in the right setting. Here we go. Ow, my hand. It's puking a bunch of crap out of the cylinder. Alright, now I can use the drill with 2 hands, so this will go a little better. It's free now. I guess there might have just been one little rust spot in the cylinder where the piston was actually sitting, and that's what did that. That's what got it stuck. We just needed a little bit of leverage to break through that, along with the PB blaster probably sitting in it all night. I just covered my sides over here. That's fine. Okay, let me get the inspection camera. We'll look in there again with it. All right, here we go. I get this set up how I want it. Come on. Alright. So I can move the piston to the bottom of the cylinder here. That's been suspiciously easy now, I ain't gonna lie. But obviously the piston is connected to the crank. Well, I mean, the cylinder looks like trash. I ain't gonna lie. It's pretty rough looking, but at the same time, it might run like that. I don't know. After a while, it would clean up, but I don't know. The only thing we can do is see if it'll fire. Of course, I got to get a drain plug in that other side and then get some oil in it before we can even try. I don't even want to spin it much more until I do that. So I don't think I have any drain plugs around here or anything that could work. But let me look around and see what I can find. All right, change of plans. Let's see what kind of compression this thing makes. Nothing. Interesting. I mean, actually nothing. How? Is there anything coming out the exhaust? Looks like the exhaust valve might be completely stuck open. Let's pull that valve cover and see what's going on in there. Alright, well here it is. Here's our overhead cam. That's the exhaust valve. It's pretty loose. Intake valve is not as loose. It wouldn't take much. The exhaust valve won't need to be hung open much for it to cause a bunch of problems. Man, I think that I think that exhaust valve is definitely stuck. If you look at it, it's... Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can very lightly tap that rocker with a hammer and get that to break free. Also, here's the inside of the valve cover. It's decently rusty. This engine's probably going to run like crap for quite a long while until the rings run up and down that cylinder enough to clean the rust out of it, because, I mean, you saw it on the inspection camera. That cylinder looks rough. So, yeah, even if we might still have to pull the head on this thing and maybe even piston out and hone that cylinder before it's ever going to run without smoking and make any compression, but we'll see. I've been looking at some things. Number one, that valve was actually a tiny bit stuck. I hit that with a hammer a couple times, and I got the compression to go up to like 5 psi. I put some oil in the cylinder, and it's up to 25. I don't know what just happened, but yeah, it's the best it can get with oil in the cylinder and not stuck valves is 25. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if the next step is to take the head off or what. I'm just not sure. Because this thing just does not make it. This will never fire off 25 psi. If it was a flathead and it was under no load, then sure. But this always has that great big, you know, fan on the back of it. So, yeah, this is never going to run like that. I mean, I've got another one of these blowers in the back of the shop with like, I don't know, 40 psi, and it won't even run off that. All right, that brake clean flushed a bunch of crap out of there, so let's put the correction tester back on and see if it improves. Okay, that was a little below 25. So something happens and it just won't go above 25. I'm striking the valves, trying to get them to move if they're stuck slightly. I'm sure there is a compression release on it. So we probably aren't going to get much more than 50 psi if we ever do get anywhere. Alright, so I put oil in the thing. I got something in there to keep the oil in. I've been spinning it over, flushing that cylinder out. It feels like it's better, like decently better. If I can ever get the camera set up, we'll find out what it's at. Also charge the drill battery so it will spin a little faster. I've just been doing everything I can, so let's see what happens. Well, golly. What changed? Okay, well, that should run now. let me get things set up and see if we can get it started. That's impressive. I mean, that is just genuinely impressive. Also, I think I need to put the valve cover back on, like, now. But, golly. That's pretty dang good. Alright, here we go again. I got the valve cover back on. Watch people try and call this video staged. I'm betting on there's going to be multiple people in the comments saying that I staged this thing, but jump the compression up that much. But looking back, I think my compression tester may have been at fault, because I was trying to get a Honda engine running, which you'll see a clip of it running at the end of the video, just for whatever. But it was giving me problems trying to get the compression test on that. So I think the compression tester may have been dying in the process of trying to get this engine running. So yeah, the exhaust valve on this engine was still stuck for sure, but I think it had more compression than it said on the tester. I'm not sure if we lost spark or what there. What changed? Why did it die? Did it foul the plug? Did that come loose? Like what happened? Definitely building even more compression somehow. It's getting hard to pull over. Get some more gas. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta wonder if it just fouled the plug up. It's been a little bit. So I cleaned all the crap out of the bead on that because it was full of garbage. And I put a ratchet strap around it, got it to take air again. So we'll see if it holds air this time. Also, I'm working on trying to get this exhaust cover thing bolted on. Got a washer here. I'm probably gonna have to get like a self-tapper for this because there's no threads left. That's where we're at with that. I think the next thing though that I'm gonna do on camera is take the carb off and go through it. Hopefully it's not too bad. Looking at the footage, it may have been trying to run off that carb already, so there's a chance. Okay, well I probably should have taken this off before trying to start it. Oops. Got the carb off. It looks horrible on the backside, and in there looks terrible. And there's, I don't even know what that is in the fuel line, and there's water. There was water pouring out of that when I was taking it off, so I tipped the thing up like this to drain that after the carb is off. So let's see if I can drain it. I forgot to turn the camera on so y'all could see the calamity of me trying to flip this thing back over to drain this fuel out, but just take my word for it. It made a mess. And the tank is still half full, and there's no longer pretty much anything coming out. The tank is absolutely coming off and getting cleaned out. What's in here ain't much better. That's disgusting. Oh, it smells so bad. Alright, well here's the carb bowl. I think the moral of the story here is don't leave your frigid equipment outside in the rain. Especially stuff like this. This is that's bad. That's really bad. That float is stiff. There's all if I clean this, if I can make this run, this might be the most insane carb clean I've ever done. Yeah, let's see if I can even get this out of here. I can get the float out first. That's already looking to be pretty stuck. And I want to be real careful with this because these Mikuni carbs are notorious for these mounts for that breaking off. Might just be better to leave that on there until I haven't chemicaled it for a while. Alright, took this to the sink and washed it out. It's already looking a whole lot better. Obviously it's not perfect. So yeah, next up is carb chemical dip. Also, by the way, I got the float off without breaking anything, but it's also full of liquid. You probably can't hear it over the fan, but it definitely is going to need a float. Alright, while the carb is soaking, I got the tank off of it. It's full of crap, so let's dump it out here. No. Okay, trying to not make a huge mess here. Oh, that's bad. That ain't no good. And there's still a bunch of chunky crap in there. Alright, so I put a bunch of rocks in this tank and shook it around for like a half hour. And then I rinsed it out real good with water and then gas. You can see there's still a little bit of water down in the bottom of there. But the tank, while this looks bad, that's just stains. If I can get the screwdriver in there and still have the camera in focus, I'll show you. None of this is going to go anywhere. So this tank should be ready to use. Again, it looks bad, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. Anyway, we'll see. That's for sure. Just got to let that dry out, because I'm not going to use enough gas to flush all that water out. Just let it dry. I got the gas tank reinstalled. I decided I'm going to put some new gas line in here, just because I got the intake port cleaned out, It's a little rust stained in there, but all the rust is out of it. Small crack in the spark plug boot. I'll replace that later. But obviously I want to see this thing run off that tank and the carb before I go buy any parts. Missing a bolt there. There was only 3 when I took that off, but I've got a box of stuff from one of the last motors I took apart, so should have a bolt that I can get in there. I'm not going to run this but for like a minute on the oil that's in it, even though I just put it in, because there's still a bunch of crap in just everything in this engine. But anyway, yeah, we're getting close to, I think getting close to being able to rock and roll here. I'm about to check on the carb. I just got this thing cleaned out. Obviously I had that out when I was cleaning the tank. But yeah, it's definitely a lot better in there. Again, it still looks bad, but none of that's going to clog up the filter. None of it's going to break loose and clog the filter. I don't think there's any water in the bottom either. It just looks like there is. Got the carb out of the chemical dip. I got it cleaned up a little bit. It's going to be hard to get the throttle shaft out, but I'm going to see if I can try and get some of that in there cleaned out. But it should be ready to go. I got that sediment bowl off, got everything in there cleaned out. It would probably run as it is. I just don't want it to suck all that crap in there into the motor. I've got a different float and needle valve since, yeah, and then that was no good. Got the bowl cleaned up spotless. This wire wheel fits in carburetor bowls literally perfect to clean them up, at least for lawnmowers. So yeah, we're getting ready to throw it all back together and try and make it work. I'm gonna have to cut out some gaskets for this, because that's obliterated. I used a different bowl. I didn't use this one because it's bent right there and it wasn't going all the way up against the base of the carburetor. It wasn't at all even hitting the gasket in there, so it was going to leak like crazy. I'll see if I can bend that back out and maybe put that back on later. But yeah, this bowl will work fine for now. It was perfectly clean inside. So yeah, I just need to cut out some gaskets and we can throw this back on the motor. One thing I want to point out is these Mikuni carbs, how they have this much higher quality fuel cutoff system sediment bowl, aside from the plastic piece, which you could probably replace with the metal one. But it also separates from the carb. That's just incredible. I love that so much. Big win for Mikuni here. Okay, never mind. I actually had the right gasket. Hang on, no, other side. Fits perfect. That's how it's supposed to be. So that works out pretty good. Let's see if this pig will start. Finally. No way. Okay, I gotta find something to plug that exhaust because that is loud. I mean, it's not that bad, but meh. Anyway, it did run off the carb. Didn't want to idle there, but I'm sure it's gonna take a little bit still. Got a bolt in there. It's not in there very tight. I doubt it's gonna hold, but we'll find out. All right, about like half choke. Full. Gas. This thing's hard to pull. Like, it's not because it's just big motor, but big fan. Golly. Okay, this my back's killing me. You're gonna have to move. Good news, I can pull it now. Bad news, it's not running. Okay, sorry about that. Let's move the camera back over here. Ah. Okay. No, not yet. Come on. Okay, gas. We'll choke. Y'all missed it, but that was an aggressive backfire. Come on. It's very finicky about how it wants to start. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit overnight. Let's cut the fuel off. Yeah, gonna let that sit overnight, and then we'll start it up tomorrow, see if it runs any better. All right, it's been a little while. New gas cap, and I got a new spark plug boot and terminal. So yeah, that should be good to go. Also off camera, I started it up last night and ran some seafoam through it, like a lot. Enough to the point where it would hardly even run in that carb. Maybe a little bit difficult starting today and keeping it running for a little while, but I'm going to put a bunch more fresh gas in that tank, and hopefully it'll be a little less temperamental today. Definitely a lot better. Still got to get that seafoam that back up the carb out. Alright, this is going to be kind of hard with one hand, but here we go. That's certainly a big difference. I'm impressed. I see to find a better area to test this out, but this area ain't very good for this. I'd say it did okay there. I brought it back here and I've been trying to start it. I just cannot get it to start without starting fluid. I mean, it just does not start by itself when hot. I cannot figure out why. I mean, I have no idea. I'm gonna turn that off just in case, but I mean, put starting fluid and it would act like it's flooded, but then start. So I don't understand. I don't know if it's weak spark or what. It does still have that Briggs and Stratton plug in it. I need to replace that. That's probably part of it if I had to guess. Probably run a lot better if it had the right plug in it too. I've seen enough that I'll proceed with getting the proper drain plug, doing another oil change, getting the air filter and air filter cover, all that stuff. And maybe the elbow for right here too. And maybe replace that. Or at least find, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. I'm just gonna go spend more money on parts. Probably get a different one of these because this one sucks. Moves back and forth a ton and it lets vapors out. And if it lets vapors out, pretty sure it'll let gas out if I fill the tank up. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go find some parts and we'll be back. Alright, finally got the new plug, and as you can see, they're definitely a little bit different. This doesn't use the same plug that these Honda clones usually use, but it is different from a flathead plug. This is kind of like what the Honda clones would usually use, and this is like what the actual Hondas use. They look at like this at least. Gone ahead and made this 90 degree because I didn't feel like spending 40 bucks for the actual one, which also requires you to take that whole thing out. This pipe was, you know, because of its shape, it just kind of threaded in there, so, and it's got a bungee cord holding it on down there. So hopefully that'll work. I ordered an air filter housing and an air filter. They got here and they were the wrong thing. So yeah, I found a different one that should work. But man, parts for these engines are expensive. I mean, expensive. That'll be fine using that one more time with just the pre-cleaner because it's still not going to be anything too crazy. I know you're saying, why don't I just blow the leaves into the woods? I come in here and bag these leaves. I'm trying to get them away from areas like that. Sadly, there's just not very many places that I can film while using this thing. There's plenty of places I can use it, just not film at the same time. Alright, I think I'm going to call it for this video. That went pretty well. It's hard to film with this thing, really, because I got to be careful not to knock the tripod over. Yeah, still probably will buy a new one of those things. And then you get a different muffler or put something inside there to quiet it down, because it's loud. I mean, loud. The spark arrestor blew out at some point. Still need to get a bolt for that right there. But I think this machine is ready to go, so on to the next machine. By the way, I'm going to mention real quick, I know my usual style is I fix every single little issue. I mean, every single little issue with every single machine I get by the end of every video. But pretty much every revival in this video, and then the last video, and probably even the one before that, I didn't do that. It's just because these videos take so bloody long to make, and I'm trying to upload once every month. It's just not really possible. So yeah, that's why. Alright, so welcome to Revival 3 of this video. This video wasn't even supposed to be more than one, but I've decided I'm just going to throw as many in here as I can. So next up we have this 12-horse flathead. I saw this at the junkyard on a floor or on the ground and thought, yes, let's put it in the truck. So let's look at it for like the first time. That's been cut. What is that? Oh. That's part of it, something. Carburetor boot thing. No. Oh. Whatever it is. This ain't from this engine, I'll tell you right now. I think this goes on like the front of a Kohler intake. I'll show you a picture if I remember to do that when editing. Or remember to get one before going inside edit. Anyway. Does this move in here? It's stuck right now. I mean, that's what you gotta watch out for on these, on any engine. The governors can get stuck. Man, that one's real stuck. Is there something jammed in it? No. Man, so much action happening in this one corner. Okay, well, we're gonna have to get to that with some lubricant. Fuel line is obliterated. Let's see, probably a Walbro carb. I think it says on the other side. Has an adjustment right there. Looks like the air filter's gonna be decently rotted out. Probably some off of some MTD, judging by all this extra garbage shrouding up front and that exhaust. This is obviously a early 90s engine by the black paint, or older. 92 if I can read those right. I keep forgetting how. It's 92, 2-piece carb. Somehow I didn't notice it doesn't have a dipstick. However, there is like the slightest hint of something down in there, it looks like. There's this growing in the middle of here. It's growing out this side. See, I don't know what all these extra wires here are for. Thing had a decent oil leak. Probably not the dipstick, amazingly though. These engines generally look really rough nowadays because the black paint holds water and makes it rust, and then the paint falls off and then you see all the rust but only a little bit of paint left. Like that engine, that's an early, I think that's an 03, and it never had black paint and it just looks a little better. Not by much, but a little bit. So yeah, we got our work cut out for us on this one. Synchro balance, 2-year commercial warranty. Don't care. I don't know what all this stuff is for. Why? Oh, they had the ground bolts to the engine. Okay, that makes sense. Someone ripped this out of the tractor pretty quick. Well, let's see if I can flip it over this way without making a hellacious mess. Let's see what's... Or not. I'll just forget about that. Take the air filter off here. Not too bad. And this filter's gone. That's... Man, it's gone. Dust. This might be the worst I've ever seen. Yeah, that ain't coming off my hand for a while. So yeah, that's filthy. We got a decent amount of crap in there. Plug wire is a little dry rotted. Plug is in there tight. So let's see if it'll rotate. It does. Yeah, it seems like we maybe make it run. I should find a dipstick. I might rob the one off of that engine temporarily because it has no carburetor or air filter. That's a 13.5 horse flathead, so those are decently rare. Obviously I'd want to keep that one whole if I can, but anyway. Yeah, I'll take the dipstick off of that just to test this. So usually these fans, they're center in here pretty good, but this one's big gap over here and dangerously close to the shroud over here, so might put a washer back here to try and straighten that back out, because if that fan hits this, or if this grill right here hits that, you're going to have a you're going to hear some expensive sounds. All right, it's been a couple days. I've got all the garbage MTD shrouding off. I might put this back on, but they're off so we can do some work to this thing, and the main shroud off. I looked in here, or I was looking in here to make sure there's no mouse nest or anything, especially considering what I saw in the air filter. There's no mouse nest, but there is that, which is equally as bad. I think we may have had a mouse in here at one point. Possibly. I mean, came in there once maybe and never came back. But otherwise, there's nothing in here that concerns me. Now that I got this off, I feel like no compression at all. I mean, at all. There's also probably like no oil in the thing. Ow, son of a biscuit eater. I got caught. Ouch. But yeah, I'm gonna pull the plug out of here and take a look in there real quick. Also notice we got an older style roll pin starter. So I don't remember what the date on this was, but that's just kind of interesting. I thought that they would have gotten rid of those by the time they built this in particular engine. But anyway, let me get this plug out of there. Alright, so I took the plug out. I thought the exhaust valve was stuck, so I took this off, and I was trying to, now that the shroud was off, hopefully I could get a better view at it. The exhaust valve's moving, but there is a bunch of dirt dauber nests in the exhaust. It's starting to break me free. That's hilarious. Looks like it's got most of it out now. Let's see if we can break some more of it free here. Try and make it so it will, you know. When that starts, that's going to be hilarious. But yeah, it is built-in compression. I also put a little oil in the cylinder, so I guess it's going to be just like the Robinson engine. Just needs oil, and it will build compression slowly. The starter ain't the best. But it does crank it. Alright, here's the inside of the blower housing and the engine itself. It ain't clean, but it's certainly a lot better than what it was, so it's good enough for me. Alright, got that back on, and as promised, I put a washer behind this bolt to pull the shroud away from this right here, and it worked, so we got good clearance all the way around for that grill. Now I just need to put the dipstick on and get some oil in it. Bad. Alright, I've got the dipstick on, I've got some oil in it. Yeah, ready to try it out here. Gonna spin it for a second before I start it, let that oil get on the rings. Also, it's ratchet strapped to the pallet, so yeah, I'm not worried about it going anywhere. Here we go. Okay. Wow. Second. Apparently the governor is stuck. Note to self. Alright, let's see if we can free that and try it again. Oh yeah, I remember that now. The governor was stuck. Okay. Let's get that freed up. Thing smoked black. I wish I should have had the camera on the exhaust. Y'all really missed it. Because of me, of course, but regardless. Just spray everything here. Alright, I fought with that throttle for quite a while, and I think it's good enough to start now. To run. Tell you what, that wide guide's probably what this thing needed to blow all the cobwebs and dirt dauber nests out of the exhaust. Now, I did spray a bunch of PB Blaster in the intake to try and help get that throttle shaft free, so, yeah. This may smoke. But, like, when it started before, it smoked black. I mean, black. Okay, just double check. After that, yeah, good to go. Oh, that might help. Much better. Thing sounds mean. Like, that thing sounds mean. I've ran a couple of these flatheads and none of them sound like that. Of course, I've never had stupid exhaust like this MTD one here. Whoa, hey, simmer down. One's awfully long for how much fuel I'm putting in it. Now the question is, can I keep it running? Let's try that now. Hold on. Trying to rev it up, but I couldn't find the thing. But yeah, that works. So, yeah. I don't know if I'd call this engine good just yet. I heard some knocking. I mean, I don't know. Let's spin it by hand here. See what I think. But yeah, it sounded like knocking. So let's see what I think of this. Definitely built plenty of compression. I mean, I've heard worse engines that don't knock than that. I don't know. Let me see if I can hook up a throttle so that way I can control it from over here, and we'll try and rev it up and start it again. Alright, I got a throttle on there. So, yeah, we'll see if we can rev a little bit. I would try to put fuel in the car, but I don't really know what it's like right now. I don't know if that's the best option right now. Alright, let's see it. Interesting. Here we go. Okay, so it does sound a little rough in the bottom end. I don't know. Not sure. Anyway, I'm going to take the carb bowl off. I'm not going to put fuel in it regardless of how it looks. I just want to see what it looks like in there, so I can put a note on top of this thing for whenever I'm ready to try and use it for something. And yeah, we'll move on to the next revival in this video. Alright, I've already got the bolt loose. And I also took off my throttle cable that I just put on and the stupid choke kill I'm sure everybody's been screaming at me to remove. This thing's in here pretty stiff, so I expect this to be pretty nasty in here. I don't smell any rotten fuel yet, but I'm sure that smell's coming. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's rust or rotten fuel. Definitely going to need a carb clean before it can run off this car, but yeah, I've seen worse. Alright, well, let's see. That's rust. Yeah, that's definitely rust. Okay. Well, rusty carburetor and bottom end noise, but otherwise runs is what I can mark this engine as. Also needs a dipstick still, because the other dipstick actually doesn't fit. It has the one that bolts to the top of the shroud and not the side. So it still needs, I still need to buy one for this engine. I'm not worried about the direction of this thing, since obviously it's going to be the car before it runs on it. Also, I'm guessing the last time this engine was in service was quite a while ago, considering how rotten this fuel line is. So yeah. Yeah, on to the next revival of the video, and probably the last. By the way, anyone wanting me to get that flathead running in this video, I would, but there's no carburetor, air filter, or exhaust on that, and I don't have anything to put on it somehow, so I'm gonna have to wait till I find a good used Walbro to put on there. I think I've got an intake, but not an air filter housing. So yeah, I did just look at the oil though, and it was chock full of water. I mean, the thing was just mostly water in that thing. I mean, the breather's been sitting there open, and the intake too, out in the open. So I drained that out. I put fresh oil in, really thin oil. I spun it over with the starter for a little while, and then I drained that out, and then I put fresh back in. So that should preserve it until I do get the parts I need to get it started. Also, in case anybody ever somehow notices that, I've already got that running. I got that at the same time I bought that engine, which was in the previous video. So yeah, there's already nothing to get running there. Anyway, now let's get that going. And as I said when I was at the end of fixing this, I forgot to film an intro for that. So this is the intro. And then we just go straight in to try and get it started. Don't ask any questions about that cola right there. I ain't gonna lie and say the starter sounds good when this thing's cranking over, because it doesn't. But I think it'll make noise here. Not bad. I don't know if there's any fuel in the tank. I certainly don't know if it would run off of it if there was. Check that quick. There's a little bit in there. Let me add some and just see if it'll pull that up and run. Alright, got some gas in the tank. Only spilled like half a gallon. Let's begin the ether torture. See if this thing will run on its own. Alright. I feel like if it was going to run on its own, it would have by now. It's burning an obscene amount of oil out the exhaust, I ain't gonna lie. Also, yeah, no gas. This filter's not exactly clear. So, I don't know. Alright, let's start digging into this. Okay, well, there's absolutely water in here. So, yeah. See if I can get that cleaned out and then flush out this fuel system real good, and then maybe it'll start. So I just cranked it for like 1 second to make sure the fuel pump does in fact work, and yeah, it works, and it also spat a bunch of water out, so it's gonna be fun flushing this fuel system out. Alright, so I flushed about a gallon of gas through this thing at this point with the electric fuel pump, and the gas eventually started coming out clear, so there may still be a little water in the system, but it should be enough to start. I tried to drive it, but it didn't want to drive. It's quiet, man. I mean, I can hear the valve. Like, really, you can hear the valve moving. Oh gosh. Well, that's about 1,000,000 times better. Alright, so it's been a couple of hours, and I've got some stuff figured out. One, I got some blades sharpened up and installed on the deck, and then I got the deck installed. And as for the engage here, that spring down there, right there, and that pin were all falling out, and I didn't remember how they went together from Frankenstein Craftsman, so it took me a while to figure that out. But I did finally figure it out, and then I had to make a couple rod adjustments down there, since this is a different deck than this would have originally had. Or not the original deck, it's the same style it would have had originally though. Anyway, that works now. The belt is terrible. It's very loose, but it will kind of tell me something-ish maybe. I probably could have made a decent longer video out of this tractor, but too late now. I'm just about to put the battery tray back in. Also found the amp meter. It was literally just falling out and down there. The tabs on it are broken, and the needle in there is messed up anyway. It does give you like a general idea of what kind of amps it's either drawing or charging. So yeah, I just drill a hole through it and put it back in with one of those one-way zip ties. So yeah, I'll replace that in the nearish future. I just need to test this thing. I'm tired. Also, I don't have a discharge chute, so I'm gonna have to rig up something for that temporarily. If it was a deck like that, you don't have to worry, but on something like this, for obvious reasons, you absolutely have to have a discharge chute or something. So yeah, I'll get back to work and see you all in a bit. Also, did an oil change and put the air filter box back on. fluid looks, I don't know if I'd want to say decent, but it's not black, and it's also not too terribly creamy. I don't know. Ooh, that scared me. That scared me a lot. I'm gonna throw some Lucas in here, see if it drives any better, then we can try and cut with it. I put Lucas in it, and I took it, drove it around a little bit. It did not get any better. I just realized why there's this, at least this tire's foam filled, because it's got a nail in it. I don't know why these tires are all foam filled. I mean, all of them are. Those rocks aren't for me. I haven't really driven over any rocks, but a nice big nail shoved into that one. I don't know who would spend the money to foam fill all the tires on a lawnmower, but oh well. Yeah, I put Lucas in a lot. I mean, a lot. And it didn't improve much. There's a leak right there. You can see the back of that wheel is soaked, and the front of the thing here is also soaked. That side's dry, but it's also got enough oil in it. I measured it with my makeshift dipstick here. I figured out how much you're supposed to have in it and kind of made that. The marker's about worn off, but anyway, I know how much is supposed to be in there. And I overfilled this one with Lucas. I put a lot of Lucas in there, and it didn't make much of a difference. I've screwed around with that transmission for a little bit. I can't make it any better without taking it apart and trying to rebuild it, which I've never done before. So I'm not going to do that until I've tested this oppie enough to confirm that it's good. I mean, it's good. The only reason I'm about to try and cut grass with it, or move leaves around more or less, is for the video's sake. This is probably the worst yard as far as terrain goes for this. It's so steep. It's just a hill. I'm not joking when I say it's like the only yard that we currently have that I can test this on right now. Alright, no choke, give a little gas. That thing would go Mach 3 downhill, but on uphills, it just slows to a complete stop. So something's really wrong in that transmission, because hydros don't generally slow down that much on hills, but they also don't generally speed up going downhill. So I'm trying to hold up the tripod one-handed here. But yeah, something's really wrong with that trans. All right, well, I'm gonna call it for this. Engine's good, transmission's dead. The steering actually isn't as worn out as I thought. It doesn't pop at all. It's just the axle is too worn out. Between that rod right there and the plane between the axle and the two mounts right there. Let me tell you what though, a post twin with a 42-inch deck, absolute powerhouse. I cut a little bit of thick grass off camera because I was driving back to the shop and saw it needed cut, and I thought, I wonder how this would do. That makes more power than a V-twin does on a 42-inch deck. I've run a 42-inch deck with a V-twin, a 24 horsepower V-twin. That oppie makes more power. And I bet that belt is not grabbing as well as I think it should too. Or at least I know that belt is worn out. It's really thin. So, yeah. That's... Get Briggs flatheads, not overhead valves. That's going to be the end of this video. Hope y'all like this stupid, or at least hopefully stupid long video. I'm not sure how long it's going to be yet, because I haven't even finished any of the other revivals yet, except for the 12-horse flathead. So yeah, hopefully it ends up being really stupid long, and I will see y'all next time. Hopefully with a tractor that I can make whole, and hopefully with another opposed twin, because that'd be really cool. How does this even run with like 30 psi of compression? Minor oil leak. I've been fighting with this engine for a little while. It was seized because of rust in the cylinder, so it wouldn't even rotate. But now it runs.